Welcome back, troops. It's been a while. This video is a little different. It's about gardening, which is something, the light would stabilise, which is something I've always been interested in but never taken that seriously until this year. So at the moment I'm out collecting resources, and you'll see a few of those in the following video. Right, well, I'm not here pretending to be a gardener or to know about gardening, but every year I plant some plants for eating, but this year I've decided to take it a little bit more seriously and use a bit more of the land to grow vegetables. So I've split it into little squares so it's easy to manage. So you can see I've got potatoes over there and I've got sweet corn here. Now sweet corn doesn't do that well up north in the UK because generally we just don't get enough sunny days, but so far we've had the hottest June on record since records began, so it's not doing so badly at the moment, apart from the fact you'll notice there's some quite large ones and some much smaller, and that's because the birds have been pulling it out, which is why I put these tassels up, but they only seem to work for so long. But a lot of it has got big enough now, so it should be okay. And I've got plenty of mulch down to keep the weeds down, but I do get some of the leaves chewed, probably by slugs. I'm not sure what's doing that, but it's off to a good start now, so that should be alright. And then over to my right, we've got rhubarb, and we've taken a lot of rhubarb off this year already. Then just behind the rhubarb we've got a bit of land that I'm not using at the moment, but I've set some little turnips off, which are just down there on the wall in a pot, and they might be a bit late, but they should be alright. That's garlic, which is not doing so well. I've got some better garlic than that. And then I'm using a lot of pots as well, which isn't good for watering point of view, especially as it's been so dry lately. I've got beans in here, and then we've got kale. Now this kale is definitely not healthy. It's possibly suffering from lack of water, but this has been on the go for quite a long time and we've already taken quite a lot off it, so we can't really complain. And the same with this one. And then we've got more potatoes. So I am getting quite a bit of problem with pests. For example this, but I do tend to let nature take its course, and we do get plenty of leaves, so you know, the odd one that goes to nature, we can't complain. We've got more beans here, and the beans are starting to flower now, so it won't be long before we start getting some beans. Take them off before they get too old and stringy. Got tomatoes starting to form. This here is passion fruit, which is not recommended for the northeast climate. In fact, I had two more, but they've died. We get quite a lot of fruit off it though. Plum tree, Victoria plums, but the pigeons have taken a lot off this year. We don't begrudge them a few, but they just tend to take them off when they're green and just drop them on the floor. Then we've got more tomatoes, so we should get a reasonable crop of tomatoes this year, all outdoors. Now this is the front garden, and that's lavender, and I grew the lavender as an experiment to see whether it warded off midges, mosquitoes. Lavender oil. This is more kale, and this is kale I've allowed to go to seed because I think it is important to be able to grow your own seeds so that you're not reliant on packet seeds which may produce plants that are not capable of producing viable seeds. A few more kale. These kale have been not attacked but eaten by the birds because we've got bird feeders here, and when they run out of food they tend to go for the kale or the shard, which I'm growing this year for the first ever time. And it might look a bit raggy, but we've still had quite a lot of it. Then we've got onions here, which are grown from seed, not sets. And this is my main garlic, and you can see it's flowering. So I'll let it flower, and then you get the little, like the little cloves as the seeds. And we always have these beans here. These have been damaged by the wind. The wind has been thrashing the leaves about. And then we've got more shard in the front of the beans. See that the wind unwinds them as well. This is a useful resource for the garden. These are bark chippings, and I collect some of these so I can spread them on the soil. Keeps the weeds down, and also it keeps the moisture in, and then it'll rot down and add to the soil. And the kiddies have set some of this alight and turned it into another useful item, which is charcoal. And this is good to put on the soil, but not directly like I did. Put it through the compost bin first so it can absorb all them nutrients in the compost bin and the beneficial fungus and microbes and things. So I collect a bit of this as well. What are you doing? Yeah, rat bag. Fetch that ball here. Unfortunately, these fields are earmarked for building, so they've not been planted this year or last year, but on the very small upside is that there are vast quantities of nutrients for the garden available for the taking. Right, well, I've just sent off and received 2 items that might help me, well, will help me in my gardening. Will you come out the way? So I'll open the big box first and show you what that is. This is a big box for a smallish item, but it's a riddle or a sieve. Come out the way. It's got 3 different meshes in it, 3 different mesh sizes, so I can take out stones or I can sieve finer material. So we've got the fine 3mm, 3mm, 6mm or 5mm and 10 or 12mm, I can't remember which. So that'll help me, because where I've got the potatoes planted there are a lot of stones in the soil. It takes a long time to sort the soil out, so that sorting the soil out is a work in progress, but the riddle will help me do that. And then I've got another item here. It says here 4-in-1 soil survey instrument. So what's the for? Functions. Oh, it'll tell me the amount of sunlight. Well, you know, that's not hard, is it? The amount of sunlight. It'll tell me the moisture, the pH value and the temperature. So what I'm mainly interested in is the pH value, and in some cases, especially the pots, the moisture. So I haven't opened this, I haven't tried it yet. So right, so I haven't tried it yet. I'm not going to fiddle on with it now. Will you get out of it? Okay, there's no battery in it. It takes a 9-volt battery. There's no battery in it. It was very cheap, so anyway, as long as it works. And what I'm mainly interested in is the pH. So that would be for another video, but 2 items I've purchased that I think might be very useful in sorting out some of my problems in the garden. So that's it then. I'm not a gardener as such, no expert in gardening, but I am interested in it. I have done it for planted plants, you know, taking a seed, put it in, it lives or it dies. Mostly you're surprised to find that you get something to eat out of it, and that's fantastic. But as I say, I'm just trying to do it on a little bit more serious level starting this year. And then there's things I can grow through the winter as well. Obviously they're not going to grow very well through the winter, but I always plant kale to go through the winter, so we do have some greens in the winter. So that's it then. It's a while since I put a video up. I'm not saying I'm back to regular videos, but we'll see.